Malunggay, orange, malunggay, iced tea. Mas masustansya at mas masarap. Ang dating iced tea at orange juice, may bago na. May malunggay. Malunggay, orange, malunggay, iced tea. Mas masustansya at mas masarap. Malunggay, orange, malunggay, iced tea. Swak sa lahat, malunggay, litro pack.
HG Guyabano, homegrown iced tea. HG Guyabano, I love my HG. Gawang Pilipino, walang caffeine, gawa sa dahon ng Guyabano. HG Guyabano, homegrown iced tea.
Bumangon sa tapang at lasa ng bagong pag-asa.
A bold blend of Barako coffee, fortified with malunggay and other extracts, rich in potassium, calcium, and magnesium.
Tikman ang bagong kape ng bayan, Pacquiao Coffee.
Pacquiao Original Blend 3-in-1 Coffee.
Lasa ng bagong pag-asa.
In these uncertain times, when health and cleanliness are the most important factors of the day, where germs and viruses are everywhere, when all hope is lost, it's great to know that there's one cleaning company that stands above the rest. Clean Patrol is there for you, to serve you in all your cleaning needs. Clean Patrol designs and caters to your needs, whether you are a big or small business, private home, vehicle, or even post-construction. Clean Patrol has agents ready to serve. So what are you waiting for? Pick up the phone and call now. Operators are standing by. You can also check them out on Facebook and Instagram. Go ahead. Tell them Tony sent you.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are watching Banana Cake in this part of the world. My name is Ernest Fernandez. I will be the host and moderator for this interview once again. And this is going to be an exciting episode. We have been talking for the past half an hour. And before anything else, I will introduce my co-host for today, Miss Belay Fernando. Miss Belay?
Hello, everyone. Hope you're well. How are you? Hi, Ernest.
Yeah, Bella, and of course we have a very interesting guest, and we have been chatting for the past half an hour already. But may I introduce one of the guys that has been responsible of helping students get some athletic scholarships in the state of Arizona, Mr. Mark Lincir. Hello, Mark. How are you doing?
Hello, everybody.
Banana Cake.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Good morning, everybody.
Okay, Mark, of course, right now we have been talking about sports a while ago, but of course I want to ask you, and we always ask this question before starting the show, is that of course this is the pandemic that we are still trying to get out of. It has been from days to months, now it's turning to be years, and we just want to ask, of course, being in the sports industry, what are the biggest realizations that you had when this pandemic hit us?
Boy, yeah. I mean, the big one I think was not being able to go to sports events I've been a sportsman my whole life, not just soccer, but I love basketball and volleyball, American football, golf. And, to not be able to go out and enjoy the fresh air and watch an event or a match was quite a change. Last summer I grew up in Los Angeles near the beach, and I was at the beach on 4th of July weekend, which usually there's like 100,000 people on the beach, and there was literally nobody on the beach. You couldn't even go out on the sand. So to have grown up my whole life in LA, and I've never seen nobody on the beach before. But I think myself and a lot of people have a newfound appreciation for the simple things in life, like just being able to go out to the park and kick the ball around with your friends.
Okay, but anyway, may I shift right now to Belay. Belay, of course, syempre, we have been talking about this guy for a few days already. And Belay, what do you know about our guest so far?
What do I know? Okay, so maybe instead of me and talking about our guest, maybe we can get the background. What we know about Mark is that he's the scholarship consultant. Is that correct? At Ethos Sports and Education. So can you give us a background of like yourself before all this? More of like, where did you start? Were you an athlete? Were you into sports ever since? When did your love for sports start?
Sure. I grew up in Los Angeles in San Pedro, California. And at 6 years old, my mom actually had a friend that their son signed up for soccer, recreational soccer in town. I'd never known about it. At school, we mostly played American football, basketball, and baseball. But I started out at 6 years old. You couldn't start back then at 4 or 3 like we start now. But the minute I start playing it, I loved it. And I was actually a goalkeeper my first 2 years, and which after a while I didn't love anymore. And my dad was the coach. And after my second year of playing goalkeeper, I asked my dad, I said, I think I didn't ask him. I told him, I said, I got to get out of the goal. So I did 2 years of goalie, and then I worked my way up to defender. And then, but just, really just took a love to it right away, and stayed with it, and would play every single day before school and after school. And then got into basketball as I got a little older, played a little bit of American football, 1 year of baseball, quite a bit of volleyball on the beach during the summer, but it's always been soccer from 6 years old. So, it's like 46 years of soccer. It's a long time. And basically, playing it, thinking about it, dreaming it, talking about it for 46 years. And I'm very thankful because it's a beautiful sport. And, it's allowed me to meet people from all over the world.
Yeah, it's funny, I think a lot of kids start out with goalie. I don't know what it is, but I hear a lot of stories of players starting out as goalie. I don't know how that starts. Maybe because we're so used to playing sports with our hands that's the most that's easiest for us to learn. I'm not sure, but yeah, it's a story for a lot of players. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to say, I don't know why I was in goal. I guess I might've been kind of tall for my age. I don't know, but it was cool for a while, but once you start giving up all those goals and every parent on the field thinks it's your fault, but I think it's good whether you start off as a goalie or at some point during your career. That's a very unique perspective from goal. And I think it's good for all, athletes to try goalie at some point in their career.
Yeah, so from being an athlete and moving on to this career, I'm sure you didn't start out being a consultant of scholarships. Can you share with us a little bit about what led you here to where you are now?
Sure. Yeah. I played in high school, and I was actually a good basketball player too. But in high school in California, basketball and soccer are the same season. So when I got to high school at 15 years old, I had a tough decision to make. Basketball or soccer, but I would have been too short for basketball to really go anywhere with it. And my love was truly with soccer. So I stuck with soccer. I earned a half scholarship to Cal State Dominguez Hills, which is a Division II school in Los Angeles. I played there all 4 years, was the captain of my team my senior year. And then I was actually able to go play professionally for a couple seasons in our second division here called the USL. After that, I got into coaching and traveled, took a team to Europe right out of college, a youth team to Holland and England. and France, and just kept coaching in, high school, club, college. And then 8 years ago, I met Chris, the owner of Ethos, through a mutual friend. And we got the company going and really love what we do, and got to travel around the world to 30 different countries with Chris and share our message all over the world. So this is what I do all day, every day. And I really enjoy it. And I'm really thankful for the opportunity to do this.
Okay, so for our viewers out there, like all the parents watching right now, can you share with us what Ethos is all about? What does it do exactly?
Yeah, it's the company is Ethos Sports and Education, and what we do is we basically act as agents for student athletes all over the world to help them come to U.S. or Canadian, and we even have a couple contacts in Europe for university. So we would take a student athlete and assess them academically, athletically, and financially as well, because even though there are full scholarships out there, they are rare. But we'll work with them to establish schools that we know we can get interest in and help them compile their video. We do a lot to prepare them mentally and emotionally for the journey, and then start connecting them to schools and really help guide them along the pathway. Even when they get here, we still offer, we're a support mechanism for them. So we're basically like an agent for university students as opposed to, say, pro players.
Okay, so do you typically approach a player, or do players approach you first?
Both. So sometimes we're at events like tournaments and we'll scout players. We scout players on YouTube, for example. But a lot of the time we'll have players come to us either through, one of our salespeople around the world, or through schools. We do a lot of work with international schools and prep schools around the world. So they'll have, their counselor or their teachers might have a student that expresses interest in, trying university, and they'll connect them with us, and then we'll start the conversation and see how we can help them.
That sounds really great and really exciting. I think young Filipino footballers, especially part of the Youth Football League or the YFL, are just starting to be familiar with the idea of the possibility. They're starting to see some players get recruited and are able to break into the NCAA or university collegiate level system of the US. But I'm sure it's super daunting to them. So I think one of the reasons that we are so excited to have you on this show is to be able to take us to, a little bit of a step-by-step process. So for example, a parent doesn't know where to start, thinks that his or her son or daughter has potential to play in the US. Where would they begin?
Sure, that's a great question. Yeah, and to give you an idea of how much opportunity there is here, we have over 1,000 four-year universities, actually closer to 2,000 that feature sport. We have 1,000 that feature men and women's soccer, and many others. Like with athletics, there's about 800, swimming, close to 1,000. So I think the first thing that surprises everybody is how many opportunities there are here. You're talking a country of over 300 million people. And we also work with Canadian universities as well, where there's a couple hundred. I would say that the way to start, and I don't mean to just plug our company, but it's important to get an honest starting point or an assessment. Yeah. Not everybody can play at UCLA or Stanford or Duke, and that's okay. Because what we do quite uniquely here in the US is that you typically live on the university campus. There's dormitories and apartments. You study, of course, there. Your soccer stadium will be there, the basketball arena, all your workout facilities, like they're their own little villages or towns or cities. Here in Arizona, for example, where we live, Arizona State University is like 70,000 students. And they're all in one place, which is like a big city downtown. And, so I would say find a starting point. It's very important to understand that the level is very competitive here, since we are drawing people from all over the world. We do welcome international students. Back when I played, we had players on our team from South America, from Africa, from, the UK. And we always liked it, just because they brought their own kind of style and flair to our team. And it was unique to have guys from other countries on our team. So I think one thing to understand is that the schools and the players here are very, very welcoming. And they, if you can contribute and help, help them win and be a good part of the team, they're going to welcome you. But it might seem daunting, but I would say that there's a lot more opportunity than people might think. You just have to keep an open mind, and wherever you go, their aim is to give you a quality education. It will be competitive, no matter what level. We have sent players, and we've had national team players go play Division III, but they have been challenged. It's incredibly challenging across the board. But what we do is we offer a free assessment, so people could email us and we'll take a look at their video, or if it's golf or athletics or swimming, their times and their grades, and we'll get on a phone call with them and talk to them and learn more about what their goals are. And we offer that free assessment because even if we want to bring them onto our paid services, we want to be confident that we can help them too.
So I just want to set manage expectations here.
Yeah.
What if there were a parent or player that came to you and you didn't think that you would be able to help them? How does that work, and how do you deal with that?
Sure. Yeah, it's a great question. On occasion, we have a couple things might happen is we might evaluate them at a different level than they evaluate themselves. And if we can't agree on the path going forward where we have confidence, we'll politely decline working with them for a while. And maybe if the player is young, like say they're 14 or 15, we might say, listen, we'd like to, coaches will probably want to see you improve these parts of your game. Or if it's swimming or, athletics where it's very quantifiable, or golf, we'll say, well, these are the types of scores or times that we know coaches are looking for you to even just get into the mix and start a conversation. So, maybe we regroup in a year or 6 months when you achieve these times. So there's always, even if we don't feel confident working with them at that particular time, we will always give them, if it's soccer, things that they need to work on. And then again, maybe we can come back a few months later and revisit that. If it's a little late in the process, maybe they're going into their final year of high school or getting ready to graduate. We still wish them well, and we'll give them pointers on what they should, be looking for as they move through this process on their own.
That's really interesting. I like how you say that how they view their situation or
Yeah.
the level or the path moving forward could be different. And I like how you just try to agree on something, and if you cannot you're realistic and you manage expectations, because I'm sure there are, if it's paid services, it's so easy to just say what you think the client would like to hear. So it's interesting to hear how you deal with that type of situation.
Yeah.
Sure. Thank you. Yeah. I mean, we need to be able to perform for them, and that's why up front, we want to establish that pathway. So, maybe you're very good academically, but maybe you lack a little speed. Let's just say in soccer, for example, the Division III level. And we actually had a national team player from the Philippines a number of years ago go Division III to an excellent school in Illinois, and had a great experience there, and competed and helped the team win and was captain of the team. And, when we saw him a couple of years ago when he was in London, he looked great. I don't know if I can mention his name or not, but Rocky was a real
Sounds like
pleasure
a great
to work.
guy.
I'm sorry?
I said, sounds like a great guy.
He is. And we don't want to be shy about it, because we take great pride in our clients graduating with their university degree. Believe it or not, when I graduated university in 1992, I was the first person in my family to get a 4-year university degree. My dad came here from another country and had to work very hard from a young age to support his parents, and so did my mom. So they both, my dad got his AA degree, which is a 2-year degree at night while he was working full time. But for our whole family, for me to get that 4-year degree was a big, big deal. And so like Rocky, for example, we're more proud of the fact that he was the captain of his team. He got a great degree. We saw him in London when he was going to graduate school and working for a financial firm, I believe it was. And he looked great. He was very, very happy. He's an awesome guy. And he connected me with you guys. So, the relation, I think one thing that a lot of people miss with sports and education or is that all the relationships you make. And, my wife was a soccer player and a volleyball player. And so this weekend we'll be watching Premier League all weekend and going out and playing disc golf and, doing all kinds of stuff. But I think, again, it's a lot more than just trying to go pro or make a lot of money. It very much affects your life in a positive way. And that's what we look at, is how we help these young people develop into good, hardworking, honest adults that also enjoy their sports, but also come out with a good degree.
Yeah, so it's an interesting example that you used there, and I think that example just showed me what I had no idea about, like how kids from the Philippines would even fathom to enter the collegiate scene without exceptional grades, a lot of money that they just go try to get into the school the regular old fashioned way without sports. But seeing Rocky and how he really blossomed from this really shy kid to, as he said, captain of the team, like it was such a good experience that I was interested to learn more about how he got there. And I do recall that you guys did you did some work on his video for him. So okay, say he got in touch, a player gets in touch with you, and then you do the assessment and you say, okay, we agree on it. What are the steps after that?
Sure. So what we'll do then is we'll re-edit their video. And even if kids are trying to do this on their own, is one thing that university coaches are incredibly busy throughout their day. So when they get into their office in the morning, they have an existing team that they have to deal with, and that could be up to 30 players. And there's always something you got to take care of when you have your own college team. So in between dealing with scheduling and eligibility and fundraising and planning practices, they also have to find time to recruit. So the easier you can make it on a coach, they're going to really enjoy that and appreciate that. So you always want to put your best highlights first. And we scout YouTube all the time. We get videos all the time. And sometimes we'll watch every single second of a video somebody sends us. And even if it's 20 minutes long, sometimes they'll put all their goals like in the 15th minute. A university coach is never, ever going to get to that point in their video. And we can, and the reason I say that is we can see on the back end of our video program how long coaches watch videos. And it's between 45 seconds and 1 minute. That's all they're giving you.
You have to get them at that time. You have to get them.
Hook them. You have to hook them.
Absolutely. So if you're out there trying to do it on your own, your best stuff first. You don't need to talk to the camera. Just put your name on the bottom, your graduation year, in your email. But you want to show them your best stuff first. So what we will do is we'll re-edit their video the way we know coaches want to see it. We've done this thousands of times. We'll get them a welcome packet that we wrote that outlines the process and their role in the process and our role. We'll get on a welcome call where we get to know them better, because it's important for us to get to know them on video calls, because we then share that with the university coaches. We might say, Coach, you're going to like meeting Belay and Ernest. They're good people. We spend a lot of time with them. We like them a lot. And then that coach, because they trust our judgment, is already looking forward to meeting you and expecting to meet nice, good people, in which they will be. Being honest in our integrity is the most important thing we have. So we're always going to be honest with coaches. We're always going to be honest with our clients and administrators, you name it. And it's very easy once you get going in that, because we always tell a kid, if you're, let's just say, for example, you're running a 12-minute mile, which is like what I would run it right now. That's not very good for university. We would probably be honest with somebody and say, you're probably going to have to get that time down to like 4.5 minutes, somewhere like that. So, the realistic approach and having to be honest with people, diplomatically, we're not here to try to hurt anybody's feelings, but as an athlete, you need to be strong enough mentally and emotionally to manage some disappointment from time to time. So, we'll set the path, we'll start preparing them. And then what I'll do is get on a series of video calls where I actually pretend to be a university coach and walk them through the conversation. We used to be on the calls with our clients at the beginning, but we realized that number one, 3 time zones like Manila, Arizona, and New York, no matter how many times I tried, it always got goofed up. And, but more importantly, we used to mute ourselves and listen in, but we realized, this is a very, very special time for the student athlete and the coach to get to know one another. But we were probably on 100 of these calls before we stopped. And now we're able to take all that knowledge that we gained from those 100 calls and share that with our clients. And there are certain things that coaches want to learn from you when they're talking to you. They want you to ask questions. They want you to, to be inquisitive and to have researched the school and have a genuine interest in learning more about their school. Whether you pick that school or not, it's important to get on these calls and start to go down the road of building relationships. So, we provide email templates that they can easily use to get on calls with coaches. And we're there every step of the way to help support them. At the same time, we really let the student athlete know that this is their journey. And very quickly after we prepare them, they're going to be out in the forefront, to enjoy this process.
Okay.
Yeah.
Talking about that, I want to ask, of course, when you see a talent, and of course, you want to get them to a good scholarship, to a good school there. Talk about the mental preparation that you always give to your to these athletes that will be taking on the journey, as you said, because of course, especially for foreign kids who are going to the US and go to a school, how do you mentally prepare them on the journey ahead?
Yeah, that's a great question, Ernest. And I think number one, any international student coming from such a long way to try to prove themselves here in the classroom and in their life and on the field, we give them a ton of credit. And that's an amazing journey. I drove like 15 minutes to my university. That I wasn't really putting myself out there, right? The same way a young man or woman from the Philippines or Australia or anywhere would be. So, the first thing we try to express to them is that everything is going to be new when you get here or at the next level. Because what we hear a lot here, especially in the US, is kids will go to college and they come back after they quit and they're like, oh, the coach was different and the other team was different and my teammates were different. And yes, everything's different. It's a whole new chapter in your life. And so we the first thing we do is try to recommend you want to embrace and relish all the newness that's going to come into your life. You got to be open to all that. It is going to be different. There might be a little discomfort, right? I don't know this guy. I'm not familiar with this school, but that's okay because that's all part of the growth you need to do to turn into a university student athlete. So a lot of what we do is just helping them become more resilient and adaptable. And Ernest, we were talking earlier about all of us having to become more resilient and adaptable because of COVID and what we've all gone through. And we just keep building on that. It's not for people that are soft mentally or emotionally. Now, again, you can still have feelings. We're not asking you to not have feelings, but you have to remember that the whole world, kind of because we set everything up so uniquely in marry sports and education, everywhere we go in the world, whether it's the Philippines or Nepal or Holland or the Bahamas or anywhere in our country where there's 300 million people, they want to come to compete at our university sports system. So it's just a numbers game. And that's kind of what we help do is we identify you for the coaches. And in most cases, they might not ever find out about you, or they might just not give you a long enough and an honest enough look to find out what's so good and special about you. So a lot of the mental and emotional side is, there's going to be some ups and downs along the way. We like to say that we definitely celebrate the highs and the good times. We want to enjoy this, but we never let the lows get too low. So, if a school goes away for no other reason than they just thought somebody else was a better option, we learn from it and we move on. Because, this process does have an end game, and that's finding you the right fit for a university that you can go spend, 4 amazing years in your life. And those are 4 critical years too. So it is a massive decision, but we also don't want the kids to feel like it's life and death. It's not. This is sports and education. And we want to keep it in perspective. Yeah, it's a big, big deal, and it can help shape the rest of your life, but it's not life and death. We don't want to overblow the importance of it, but it is important. It was important to me. It's important to a lot of people, but if you choose not to do it or you don't make it, that doesn't mean you're a bad person. It doesn't mean you're not a good athlete. I think it's like 1% or less than 1% of the world population ever goes on to play university sports. And that's why we like to say that, it doesn't have to be Stanford or UCLA or Wake Forest to be a legitimate university athlete. Where I played at Cal State Dominguez Hills, for example, Kai Kamara, who played for Norwich City and Middlesbrough and Colorado Rapids in MLS. He's a multimillionaire and had like a 15-year professional career. Actually, he just signed, I think at age 37 with a professional club in Finland. and he went to a school that most of the world doesn't know about. So it's you can still get to where you want to go regardless of the school you go to. It's just when you get there, you've got to do some pretty special things.
Yeah.
And
For
I've
sure.
heard some stories. I mean, there are some kids that go there, but how about the support system? I mean, of course, when you get in, you're in the university or whatever. I hear some Filipino kids that got scholarship in other countries as well. Getting that homesick and getting to miss their mama's home cooking or whatever. Uh, how do you give them the support system to probably maybe go through this 4-year journey with them?
Sure. Yeah, I think the biggest thing we do, and we do this for our clients or even people we don't work with, is that your first year is going to be a real challenge. And I think if you're just ready for that first year, again, everything is new. Yes, you're a long way from home, but also remember, like, even if it's for a fall sport like soccer or football or volleyball or running, you're going to get here in mid-August for preseason. You start off fairly quickly with 2 practices a day. So it's very, very rigorous. But what's nice is that you're meeting all your teammates. You're spending a lot of time with each other. You're meeting other athletes on campus. So none of the other students are there except for the athletes those first 2 weeks. And then when everybody gets on campus, you already kind of know your way around. You have friends that are your teammates. You're meeting players from other sports. It is very, very easy, I think, to make friends as an athlete. And then, your season is in the fall. So September, October, November go by very, very quickly because you're training and playing 6 days a week. Usually it's like 2 matches a week or a couple meets a week, 1 day off. And then before you know it, you're back home during the holidays or at Christmas time. And you get like 3 to 4 weeks off at winter break, which was amazing to me because I was always used to 10 days to 2 weeks in high school.
Yeah.
And then you're sitting around after those, and you're like, wow, I still have another 2 weeks off. So for those that are traveling a long way, say from the Philippines, it's an awesome opportunity to get home, to meet up with everybody, to spend a ton of time with your family, let everybody know what you're up to. But most of the kids we talk to are ready to go back in mid-January to continue to prove themselves in the classroom and in their sport. And then you'll come back in mid-January, and a second semester will be mid-January through mid-May. And if you're baseball or athletics or swimming, that'll be in the spring. If it's soccer, that's your off season. So you'll do a lot of futsal. You do a lot of weightlifting and training. Again, it is very, very rigorous. There is spring break in March, which is about 10 days. So a lot of kids will go home during that time, but if they can't, a lot of them will say, go with like a guy on their team that, maybe lives in a state nearby. And the kids will say, hey, why don't you come with me for, Ernest, for a couple of weeks? Let's go visit my family in Florida. We'll hang out together, whatever. So to go to your point, Ernest, about the support is that nowadays there's a lot of support because coaches kind of learn the hard way that if you bring in an international and you let them feel isolated, they're typically going to go home and not come back. So, nowadays they do a lot to make sure, even if it's like Thanksgiving weekend for us, which is in the end of November, it's only like a 5-day weekend. So it's probably not enough time for internationals to go home, but a lot of the American kids will go home. And oftentimes we hear from clients that, an American family will say, hey, invite them to come along and they'll go spend 4 or 5 days. And, maybe it's South Dakota or California or Texas or, Boston, and they'll just get to, really kind of explore our country. So they do a lot to make sure you feel included and that you feel a part of things.
All right, that sounds good. Bella?
Yeah. I like how you always emphasize and call them student athletes. So I just wanted to backtrack a little bit and ask, is there a certain requirement that or expectation that you have to take on a student athlete in terms of grades, academics?
Yeah, there is. And the one challenge is that, we have Division I, Division II, Division III, and another organization called NAIA, which are all 4-year universities. And there, again, there's 2,000 that feature sport. So within that 2,000 schools, there's a wide range of what they're looking for academically. What Caltech and MIT and Harvard and Yale are looking for is quite different than say Arizona State or Cal State Dominguez Hills or Eckerd or Rollins. Not to say that they don't want good students. It's just a wide range. The other benefit to being a student athlete is that sometimes coaches, or oftentimes the coaches, are allowed a little bit of wiggle room or latitude as far as admitting students. So you would be amazed that, sometimes a school might say, listen, we need a 1,500 SAT, but as an athlete, and depending on how much they need you and want you and your grades, of course, maybe they adjust that a little bit. Maybe you get in with a 1,400. I can tell you that we had a student athlete at an Ivy League school that usually wants a 1,400 plus, and she's in there with a 1,250. Now, the big part about your grades and your test scores is that they don't want you to get into their school and be so far in over your head academically that you get frustrated and you quit. So a lot of these schools offer a lot of academic support when you get there. You'll actually have an academic advisor that helps you set your schedule. There is a tactic to setting your schedule because, again, you're getting in there, say, as a soccer player in August. You don't want to take your 4 hardest classes that first semester. It's going to be enough to manage your time and your energy with soccer. And of course, education is a priority, but you have 4 years to kind of take a certain amount of classes. So these advisors will help you with that. Your coaches will help you with that. Even your teammates will help you, as you move through your education. But yeah, there's a wide range. And that's why we always emphasize taking advantage of that free assessment. Because we're taking a combination of your athletics, your academics, your test score, your finances, and the person you are. And, the integrity you have, how hungry you are, how passionate you are, how disciplined you are. It's very important to manage your energy and your time and be on top of things. And I know a lot of young student athletes are out there now that, still rely on their parents for things, and that's good. But as you get older, you need to start taking, those responsibilities onto yourself, because when you get to the university level, despite all that support, it's still you. And we always want the kids to relish that, because for good or bad or indifferent, it's your journey. So, when you score the game-winning basket, or you win your race, or you score the game-winning penalty kick, that's yours. You own that. And even though we all might be a part of your support system, I didn't take that penalty kick, they did. And so at the same time, if they drop the ball or are irresponsible or forget to do something or just don't do it, they have to own that too. So there's 2 sides of it. And we really encourage the kids, to start owning things in their life younger, and that will just help them develop, good habits. Your parents shouldn't have to beg you to do your homework. Your parents shouldn't have to get you up in the morning, set an alarm, set 2, set 3 if you need to.
Yeah.
And those are good habits that you're going to get into, to get to the next level. And one thing I just want to be clear about is that, nobody's looking for perfect. And the only time you'll ever hear myself or my partner, Chris, say perfect is when we say nobody wants perfect. And nobody is perfect. And that's why we don't talk about it. It's trying to do the best you can as often as you can.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Like with I guess it's your philosophy and the values that you and your partner have will carry through, and the parents will see the genuineness. Being able to talk to you 2-on-1, but 1-on-1, we get to ask you all these questions, and it's already very daunting. And I just wanted to ask, if, for example, a parent were to contact you, how does it work? Is it just 2 of you and you're, able to take on all these students, or you have like a lot of employees? How does it work?
Yeah, we actually have like salespeople all over the world, or what we call referral directors. So we have about 30 of those around the world in different countries. But as far as who manages the placements and our clients, it is just myself and my partner, the founder of the company, Chris Campazano. We only work with about 50 clients per graduating class. So we do want to limit, the amount of clients we work with, because we want to make sure that we have the amount of time and energy to help them. And we always do. So, that's the big thing is, you might talk to other companies that there's some companies that have millions of clients and obviously cannot possibly manage those clients personally. I typically deal with managing our clients and the practice coaches calls and the conversations. And then Chris will be going in the background and procuring interest. So many times once we do, re-edit their video and I get done with the practice coaches calls, oftentimes 30 minutes after that practice coaches call, Chris is connecting them to universities that have already expressed interest in them. So we have plenty of time and energy to go around, but we do limit our roster. And we want, again, nobody perfect, but it does help to have very committed and dedicated and honest, hardworking student athletes.
Okay, Mark, this is the thing. Of course, after for those who are watching with us right now, and maybe they have some kids that they would like to approach them to you. Of course, they have to be prepared in bringing these kids to you as well. What are the boxes that parents or their guardians will have to check before before going to you? I mean, what is your advice to make your job easier as well?
Sure. Yeah, I would say, we've started with clients as young as 14 years old, because we can help set the pathway, and we also can help with their development a lot. So as even with younger clients, so we like to say it's never too early and it's also never too late. So I would say they can reach out to me at mark@ethosrecruiting.com or go to our website at ethosrecruiting.com. Go, fill it, request a free assessment. And then we have what we call a questionnaire that we'll send them. It's about a dozen questions, but it's very easy stuff like, do you know what you want to study yet? A lot of young clients might not, and that's okay. But what their grades are, what teams they play for, their times, if they're a swimmer, athletics, and any video they might have, if they're a soccer player or basketball or volleyball. There's 26 different sports that we offer here in the U.S. as scholarship, in addition to actually esports or video games. Basically now they're offering scholarships for that. So, we would just recommend to email us, let us know you're interested in the free assessment. We'll send them the questionnaire that only takes 15 minutes to fill out. Get us any video they might have. And it can be small, short clips. It can even be their parents with their phone videotaping, because this first batch of video is only for us to assess. We're not sending this out to coaches yet, but we'll get back to them very quickly with our thoughts. And again, if we don't feel like they're quite at the level we need, we're not here to hurt anybody's feelings. Again, it's always going to be very diplomatic, and we're just going to point to things we think you could improve upon before maybe we revisit bringing you on. And if you are somebody we think we could really help, then we'll very quickly get back to you and say, hey, we're confident based on your grades, test scores, finances, and video that we could achieve success at these divisions and these levels. And, we would be interested in bringing you on board. And, we always try to schedule a video call sooner than later, because we also want to get to know the student athlete and what they're all about, and share how we can help, and also learn about them. It's important for us to learn about the student athlete and what their goals are, and share how we can help. Just like we're talking about today, I think there's so much that people don't know about our university. Just, again, talking about the young man, a soccer player from Australia. And he committed from the time we started with him to his verbal commitment with the university was 20 days. And so we found out, we talked to him the other day. He landed here in the US in Chicago. He's very happy. He has his roommates already. They're in preseason and they'll get into their games in a couple weeks. But, not just that story about Jethro, but, we have lots of stories, Rocky, like I said, Blaze family, where, young people that coaches would never probably discover on their own, that we kind of discover for them. And then these young people, men and women, go on to have very successful college careers, get their degree. We've had a young lady from Iceland, actually went to school in Mississippi, met her husband there, and, now is living in Colorado and just absolutely loved it. So like you guys were saying, to come all this way to such a massive country like ours, and to prove yourself in the classroom and in your sport can be a daunting task, but we have kids rise up to that challenge all the time, and we take great pride in that, and we also enjoy the journey with them.
Okay. Of course, Mark, you told us about, of course, journey at being in your position. I mean, you have seen boys become men and girls become women. What is the most rewarding things that your job gives you?
Yeah, I would just say, like I said earlier, is I think number one, if you're doing this on your own or you're just getting to university, is get through that first year. Belaine and I were just talking about on the break, Rocky, after that first year, it's all new. You're homesick. You got to work through it, and just know that if you can get through that first year, you're going to typically be okay, because now it's second, third, and fourth year, what's coming up, right? You know what you're getting into. So I would just say we take great pride and really enjoy when they get through that first year. I'm telling you, get through that first year and keep going, but I think that a lot of kids stop too early. They quit too early because it gets overwhelming, and they're sad, and people are like, listen, come home. And, we know everybody's just trying to help, right? Parents and relatives and neighbors. Hey, Ernest, you're sad, you're unhappy, you're far away. Come home, it'll be better. But, remember, Jurgen Klinsmann, our American soccer coach for a while, said it best. I think he said, get comfortable being uncomfortable. And that's not a forever thing. It's just that first few weeks when you get here, you got to get through it. And then you're going to have your friends, you're going to have your routines, you're going to start developing your habits and enjoying. I mean, university life is an amazing thing. I mean, you go to basketball games where there's thousands of fans. American football, sometimes 100,000 fans at a game on a Saturday. We've got Grand Canyon University here in Phoenix for soccer. They get 5,000 fans at their games. And 5,000 rowdy university students sounds like a million, right? So, even though you're going to go through some homesickness and a little discomfort, I'm telling you that the payoff is massive. The benefits are worth that little bit of discomfort.
All right. Thank you so much for that. And Belai, you have more questions there?
No, I think what I wanted to, and my questions is in case there's some parents here who have questions or want to explore this or want to avail the free assessment, how can they reach out to you and your company, Mark?
Sure. It's Mark, MARK, at ethosrecruiting.com. Mark at Ethos Recruiting, and they could just email me and I'll get them all the information on the free assessment. And we're happy to answer any questions. We know this is a new thing for most people, and there's no silly questions. We welcome all questions. And we know there's a lot to learn. And like we've been talking about, I know I'm covering a lot of ground tonight, but believe me, we're very patient. We're very welcoming. We want people to reach out to us because we know that there's so much to learn. So please don't hesitate to take us up on the free assessment. Again, if you'd like to check out our website, it's ethosrecruiting.com. And yeah, we're happy to answer anything, but I would encourage, we have a phrase we use a lot here, and it's nothing ventured, nothing gained. And that means, you have to put it out there sometimes. You have to give it a go. And I think as a student athlete or an athlete, it doesn't matter what age, don't be afraid of disappointment, because that's going to happen. You're not going to win every single game you play your whole life. It's just not going to happen. You're not always going to be the captain. You're not always going to be the best player, but that's all part of growing into being an athlete and continuing to be an athlete. I'm 52 years old, and I was playing basketball with a couple of young guys in my neighborhood the other day. And I was tired and I was sore, but I felt so good after coming home and cleaning up and having something to eat. I slept great, of course, that night. But to be able to get back out there and compete, no crowd, no TV, just me and a couple of my neighbors in our park, just felt so good. And it was so fun. And I think that's what I would stress to all the kids out there is don't worry about where this is going to go yet, is continue to enjoy your sport, focus on your education, focus on being a good, responsible person, and good things are going to happen. But don't get scared off by a little bit of discomfort. If you truly aspire to be a high level student athlete or a pro, you got to be able to ride out those tough times.
Oh, amazing. Ernest, it almost makes me want to sign up and be a student athlete all over again.
Can I be like 14 again?
That's right. Yeah, sign up. Come on, we'll get you something.
I wish we could turn back the clock and they had this back then when I was younger. But yeah, and now I'm so excited for all those who will have this opportunity or even just a chance to learn more about it. So
it's like what parents are looking for as well. The direction that they can have for their kids is that some parents don't know where to bring their kids. That's the thing. And Mark here is giving everyone, for those who who have kids that have good potential, a fighting chance right now. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
this is what is the blessing of knowing Mark right now. And yeah, if I have some kids in the future that will become athletes, I'll get them up to you, Mark, for sure.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, we'll be waiting. Yeah, and like I said, it's 26 different sports. We'll go over all that, and don't sell yourself short. I think that's the one thing is some kids might think I have to be national team or on a path to be a professional. Not at all. We like to say that if you're capable in your sport and you're very dedicated to what you're doing, go ahead and take us up on the free assessment. We'll give you, and if you're younger, we'll give you some feedback. But, again, it's like I said, nothing ventured, nothing gained. As an athlete, don't be afraid of a little rejection. It's going to happen as an athlete, but you got to get through it. But most of all is just put it out there to hit us up for the free assessment and see what happens.
Yeah, and just like I think Bella and you Mark can agree, being athletes as well in our days, is that being a student athlete gives you a lot of life lessons that you will bring for the rest of your journey in this earth.
Absolutely. Can I tell you one quick story? Is
Sure.
We had an Icelandic soccer player years ago, and we did a bunch of video calls with her, and she actually studied medicine. And she said that when she got into her research, and when she got more into her research part of her schooling, she was doing a lot of video calls to interview people and gather research. And she said that all the video calls we did and all the video calls she did with coaches during the process really helped her gain the confidence to set up these video calls with doctors and really prominent people. And she's here in the US still. I think she's actually up in the New York area, and she's working in the pharmaceutical industry. And, so again, that's another thing we take great pride in is helping people with their confidence and their self-esteem. And, being a student athlete, I still hang out with, I just went on a golf trip with a bunch of guys that, I played high school sports with and against. And, we were making fun of each other, and we were also being very supportive and congratulating each other with good shots. And, it's just a very special part of life, I think. And, Belay, like you said, you'd love to go back. We all would, and that's the thing with the young people. Sports, unlike anything else in life, is you do have a short window to take advantage and seize these opportunities. And like I said, is why not give it a try? And if it doesn't work out for you, it's not failure. It just didn't work out, but you gave it a go and you gave it a real try.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So thank you very much, Mark, for those inspiring words, and makes me and Bella want to be like 14 again. But
Thank
anyway,
you so much.
Anyway, Mark, do you have any of course final statements that you can say to our audience right now who are watching?
I would just say, number one, thank you guys for having me. We always appreciate the opportunity to share our message, around the world. And I would just say, for me personally, being in sports and education my whole life is really humbling. I've been very thankful. I've coached soccer in South Korea and in Tokyo and, all over the world. And I really am thankful for that. And, I'm still able to get out and play sports as much as I want. And like we talked about with the virus, having that limited, we've all gained, I think, a new appreciation for that.
Yeah.
And I would say, and again, to be able to still affect young people and have an impact on them is awesome. And I love it. And I'll love sports my whole life, any sport, anytime, let's do it. So I would just say for the young people, it doesn't have to be pro. It doesn't have to be elite club, get out there and play sports, and it's good for your body. It's good for your mind. It's good for everything. So I would just encourage, because like we talked about early, Ernest, is a lot of kids are quitting sports because they don't feel like they can get to a certain level. We work with student athletes that are aspiring to go to college, but I used to coach for 30 years, all the way from 4 years old up. And I used to have the most fun, honestly, with the 4-year-olds, because they're new to everything. They're just kind of becoming like people, that makes sense and can talk and all that, and they can grasp what you're helping them do. And we would just get out there and run all over the place for an hour and have fun and make friends and enjoy being outside and getting our heart rate up and enjoying ourselves. And I think we can never lose sight of that, as sports are supposed to be joyful, bring people together, and they're good for you. And we got to keep promoting that, is get people involved and have a good time with it.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, thank you so much, Mark. And again, it's been a pleasure. It's been a good ride talking to you. I mean, we were supposed to talk like for for 30 minutes of seriousness, but it became more than that. But but anyway, well, we would before anything else, we would like to thank our sponsors, Pacquiao 3-in-1 Coffee, Orange Malunggay Orange, and iced tea and HG Guyabano drink. And of course, we would like to acknowledge our friend Peps Avesilia, who is not with us right now, who is cooking pizza pie.
See, making pizzas.
Yeah, busy making pizzas on a Saturday morning, Fritza Pizzas, and of course, Clean Patrol. But with that, Bella, you have some words.
No, of course, I want to thank Mark again for joining us and sharing all this information with us, and all the anecdotes. They're really priceless to share with the parents and the kids of YFL. And of course, I have to give a shout out to Mr. Cool Guy Rocky Plaza himself for introducing us, and hopefully yeah, we'll have more interaction and we'll be able to guide you and connect you to our parents and our players
Yes.
in the YFL. Thank you very much.
And
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. I'm happy to come back anytime.
yes, we would, and maybe we could have some kids do some live assessment in front of you.
Yeah.
We would try to do that, but anyway, with that, my name is Ernest Hernandez. Asking you right now, if you're on Facebook, please do like our page in the Youth Football League, and of course, Sports on Air. We're trying to reach 90,000 followers in our page already, and if you aren't in our YouTube channel, please do subscribe to the channel so you would know who our next guests are. And with that, I would leave you with this a very, very special message. In times like these, is just to stay safe and God bless.
Malunggay orange, malunggay iced tea. Mas masustansya at mas masarap. Ang dating iced tea at orange juice, may bago na. May malunggay. Malunggay orange, malunggay iced tea. Mas masustansya at mas masarap. Malunggay orange, malunggay iced tea. Swak sa lahat. Malunggay Litra Pack.
HG Guyabano, homegrown iced tea. HG Guyabano, I love my HG.
Gawang Pilipino, walang caffeine. Gawa sa dahon ng guyabano.
HG Guyabano, homegrown iced tea.
Bumangon sa tapang at lasa ng bagong pag-asa.
A bold blend of Barako coffee, fortified with malunggay and other extracts, rich in potassium, calcium, and magnesium.
Tikman ang bagong kape ng bayan, Pacquiao Coffee.
Pacquiao Original Blend 3-in-1 Coffee.
Lasa ng bagong pag-asa.
In these uncertain times, when health and cleanliness are the most important factors of the day, where germs and viruses are everywhere, when all hope is lost, it's great to know that there's one cleaning company that stands above the rest. Clean Patrol is there for you, to serve you in all your cleaning needs. Clean Patrol designs and caters to your needs, whether you are a big or small business, private home, vehicle, or even post-construction. Clean Patrol has agents ready to serve. So what are you waiting for? Pick up the phone and call now. Operators are standing by. You can also check them out on Facebook and Instagram. Go ahead. Tell them Tony sent you.